Talk about plan coming together. I tell you, that's a plan coming together. We are ticking off our recommendations one by one. Hello! Back on the boat. It's a weekend. Well, not the whole weekend. It's a day. It's a day on the weekend. Got some warmer weather coming up, which means maybe we can get the boat out soon. That'd be pretty cool. Just been pinned on this dock for it'll be 2 years and a couple months. yeah. You know how it goes. Boat work, right? Takes twice as long and 43 times more expensive than you think. Well, and more than twice as long. So I might be one of the reasons why boat work takes 32,000 times longer than you plan. Because I'm like sick in the head. Like literally sick in the head. So each one of these hose clamps has a sticker on it. I can't put it on the boat with this stupid sticker on it. Old. No. I think you guys see what I'm going with this. I'm sick in the head. I can't put this back in the boat being dirty. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Don't ask. Can you imagine living with me? Devin, I'm sorry, girl. I gotta clean this. It's the way it is. So anyway, we've got Yara hooked up to fuel. We've got Yara hooked up to throttle, transmission, steering. Now we just got to hook up her poop chute. She eats diesel. And she's an old engine, so, probably has a side of engine oil with her diesel meals, let's be honest. But, girl's got to eat. And when she eats, she's got to poop. So you know what that means. We're going to hook up some exhaust today. So we should have all of our parts and pieces and bits and bobs here to get things going. I got me a pair of gloves. Work gloves. That hose is going to be hard to wrangle in. 3-inch hose reinforced with a steel winding. Ain't going to be easy. So gloves. We got a few different ways to cut the hose. We have our spiffied up fittings and our hose clamps. So I think we're ready to go. Let's start hooking up some pipe, laying down some pipe. Let's go. All right, back in my favorite hole. So I'm just down here kind of mocking things up. So I just have this little stubby piece of old exhaust hose that I can just easily take on and off. No big deal. I'm not going to be using it. It's just for our mock-up, right? And then I have, our fittings like that, and our fittings like this. And I think it's just basically like Legos or building blocks. So this is a 90. So the hose is going to have to come off of there and then down to here. And then the 90 is going to shoot that hose up. We're going to hook it up, secure it up here, because that's a lot of weight. And then it'll go back through the muffler, through that hole. So, one of the things you want to do when you're considering exhaust hose is factor in the bend radius. So this hose that we got is not designed to really be bent too much. It's very rigid. But the pro of that is it can support itself and it's less likely to collapse on itself. So, you know, the theory is with the pressure in the exhaust system, and then like if something falls on it or, you know, whatever, it can stay round, stay hose shaped. But the trade-off is it's heavier, harder to cut because there's a wire. It's wire reinforced, which gives it that rigidity, and it can't bend very well. So when you're thinking about putting in your hoses, like, you know, depending on your boat and your system, maybe bends are more important than rigidity. For us, rigidity was more important. So we just get around that with doing basically short, as straight as possible connections. To get the length, I've got a bit of string here. I could use a tape measure, but I kind of like this method. So I'm gonna put the string where I want the hose to go, and then I'll run it to where I need the hose to go down here, and then that'll be my length. And I like the idea of the string because the hose itself, it does have some bend in it, but the tape measure naturally just wants to stay straight. So the string, I can easily manipulate it. That's why. So, all right. Anyway, let's start see if we can whip together some of our Legos here. It shouldn't be hard. I just get nervous when I go to measure and cut things, because y'all know I am not the greatest measurer and cutter. I tend to, I don't know, my measurements aren't great, so maybe the string will help with that too. Math is hard. Okay, we'll be back. Give you guys a boom, string method. So, take my string there, ran it down, and I, you know, kept a loop in it because the hose is coiled up when it's shipped to us, and then taped it to my fitting here. And then now I know that when I go to cut my hose, I basically just need the length from there to the tip of the piece of string right there. Cutting time. So, string method laid out here. We're gonna try our oscillating tickler today. The cutoff wheel, the cutoff wheel worked fantastic, but it throws like chunks of black dust everywhere. If you can see in my bucket here, I made a few cuts in the bucket to try to contain the dust. So I'm gonna give the oscillating tool a try, because it's generally doesn't throw as much dust because nothing's like flinging and rotating. Alright, but I'm gonna mark where I need to cut, basically just right there. Use our tool. Fingers crossed. I mean, if it doesn't work, I can use this piece for something else. Another length. But I'm pretty confident our string method should work pretty well. Let's get cutting. This worked pretty well. This guy worked pretty well. Less dust for sure. The only part is I had to use these like nippers to cut through the wire reinforcing. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is put our 90-degree fitting on this end. And one trick you can use is because it's kind of a tough friction type fit. So you can just use some soapy water, spray it in there, and that'll help your fitting slide in a lot easier. See that? Okay, here's our first piece. So that's gonna go up on there. And then there's our 90. Things are just kind of mocked up right now. I'll come back and snug things down. Okay, let's take a look at how the exhaust exits. So there's that one sweeping piece right there. It goes to the original transom. Because as you know, the factory in the early 90s added this swim step here. Pay no attention to the the dirty, grimy boat. She's been out here all winter long. We'll give her a bath when the sun comes out. So this is what I'm talking about. What I gotta hook up next. So from there's our 45, and then over to that. And that is our exhaust port right there. One thing you may want to do when you have something like this is take a bit of old hose and put it on the fitting itself. And that way, when you're making your adjustments, it acts as a spacer, so your fitting won't be directly up against a bulkhead or like any of the fiberglass. It'll just be that old hose. I put it there to act as a spacer. So yeah, I have to do all of that in this little tiny cutout. Hello, loves. So we're back in the boat, another weekday evening. A beautiful day. And you know how you can tell it's a beautiful, warm, sunny spring day around here? Stink bugs are coming out. There he is. Did you know those are invasive? Yeah, invasive species, so I don't really have any sympathy for them. Bye, Felicia. Here today, I'm gonna take care of the last bit of the exhaust. Could it be? I mean, there's just a little piece of exhaust hose to hook up, and it's back there at the swim swim step. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna get that hooked up. Man, look at this beautiful day. I'm so happy excuse me, to be doing boat work. But let me share with you where we're at. So I've already wasted one little piece of hose. Whoops. But we still have plenty left over. That little piece isn't bad. Not too bad. So now, if we look down in here, there's our hose. It's got to come through that bulkhead, and then it goes out to that fitting right there. And now I know why they originally had this in 2 pieces. The angles in there are just compound angles because you have like the transom that isn't flush, and then it comes out at an angle, and then it comes out like higher where it needs to exit out the boat, and then where it exits out the boat, it's also not flush in here. So you have all these weird angles, and you can't just have a straight piece of pipe or hose. So I've been spending like way too long with math and measurements. And so what I've just settled on is just do one piece, cut it in half, and then join it together in the middle with that. And that way, even if our angles are just, you know, slightly askew, this thing will have plenty of like wiggle room. That's the theory. Plenty of wiggle room to not worry about the angles. So it sucks that we'll have 2 pieces in there because it's just 2 more points of failure. But that's okay. I don't really see any other way to do this. And we'll do two hose clamps on each connecting point. Like unlike last, when we got the boat, it was 1 hose clamp, which is not cool. So anyways, I'm gonna wrestle that piece of hose out of the swim step and then cut it in half, slip one end on, add my fitting, slip the other end on, connect them together, and we'll see if that works. Fingers crossed. We did it. She can poop. Check it out. Yeah, she eats diesel and poops exhaust. The poop chute's hooked up. There's her little pooper right there. And here's her large intestine. So she's hooked up. I don't have all the hose clamps on, but boy, was that a beast to get that in there. And then we're hooked up there. And feels really good. So now all I have to do is just come back and do all the hose clamps, which is no big deal. In the sense of they're easy to do, but you know, kind of fiddly and finicky, and you gotta kind of do a lot of boat yoga to get them in there, but nowhere near as hard as the hose. So Captain's happy, 2 thumbs up.
Happy.
Happy Cappy. Happy Cappy. I love it. Yes. And so now, yeah, just kind of putting the final details on it, and then the next step is starting her up.
Hallelujah!
After 2 years, will she start? Who knows?
Stay tuned.
She hasn't started in 2 years. Yeah, stay tuned. We'll see you guys on the next one.